Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Problems for people, right? That kind of thing. But yeah, man, there's something to that. That being comfortable that way, there's something to it. It really is. Even though you own the office, it's still one of those things where it's that imposter syndrome, right? You feel like the outsider kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it helped me a lot. It really did. So you're onto something. So, okay. So 2014, you start with Movement, right? And you're with Movement for a little while, right? For a few years.
Yeah. I was there for a few years. I left, I came back, I left again. They're a great company. Like I'll always have a
Casey's
Casey's an awesome guy. I mean, I'll always have like a super soft spot in my heart. It's funny. My best production month ever, I think, was like February of 2014. I did like 16 million in production. And then like a moron, I decided to write a book and start a coaching program. And
I've literally never heard that described that way before, but okay, let's go.
Yeah. In retrospect, Mike, this is no joke. The month I did like 15, 16 million, I had a loan officer who was, she didn't really need to work for me because she's very core competent. She was working under my whatever branch or something. And she's like, Scott, if I could just get to like 2.5 million a month, I'd be super happy. I'd be financially secure, yada, yada, yada. Well, I started to divide my attention between coaching and mortgages and other business ventures. And she just stayed the path, stayed in the same Keller Williams office. And in, 2020, when everybody was printing money, she did 250 million. So she did like 20 million a month instead of the 2.5 that was her goal. And sometimes I think about it, I'm like, if I was just more selfish with my time and I didn't have this shiny object syndrome where I wanted to kind of be like a intellectual philanthropist and help other people, if I would have just been greedy and selfish and stayed the path and just done mortgages, I don't know if I would have ever been Sean Brosian doing like $1 billion a year, but I could have been a consistent couple $100 million a year producer. And I look back at that sometimes, Mike, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I wrote the book. I'm super glad that I've been able to help people. The weekend we just had with our coaching client fills me up more than closing any amount of loans. So it's like personal satisfaction couldn't be better. Yeah. Bank account could have been $6 or $7 or $8 million higher had I just stayed.
But here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. There's not a lot of heart warmth. Okay. In the 6, 7, 8 million. I get it. 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up, you look at the balance, it makes you feel good, makes you feel warm and fuzzy. I get all that.
Right.
Okay. But the helping people deal is something they tell you all the time that people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I hope that's true.
You're changing lives, dude. You're changing lives. I promise you are. And, I don't think that it was a moronic thing. I mean, I know you're joking, but
right.
But it, you put so much into people. You put so much into your coaching. You put so much into your book. You put so much into, and I'm talking passion. I'm talking real emotion, real caring, your heart, the whole thing. You put so much into what you do. It matters, dude. It matters. And I believe when it's all said and done, it'll be way more important than that extra money. Okay. I really do. From the bottom of my heart. So, okay. So you're with Movement, and then you left Movement and went to Homebridge or someplace?
No, I went to New American Funding.
Right, New American. Sorry, yeah.
We had an opportunity. I partnered up with a guy who's still a great friend of mine, Justin Bale. We partnered up. He had I don't know, 60, 70, $80 million book of business. I had something similar. We partnered up. We're like, hey, let's go do 150 million and we'll manage some people. And so, they made us a branch manager, regional manager. They're at one point with effectively 2 assistants. We were doing 120 million, 150 million in business. We were managing 30 other loan officers. We were recruiting. He was doing some property investing. I was doing some coaching. I was like, in what world did I decide to have kids, man? Like, this is crazy. I got too much going on. And I discovered a few things about myself during that couple of years working for New American. Like, one, we can do so much more than we think we can. Like with some good time management and a quality assistant or two, whoever's watching this, whatever you think your maximum capacity is, you can do way more. Stop watching reruns of The Walking Dead or Wheel of Fortune. Stop the endless silly scrolling on social media. We lose so much efficiency in the modern day by being totally distracted. So I learned, one, we can do a whole lot more than we think we can. And two, managing loan officers was the bane of my existence. I cannot do it. I love coaching. You pay me, I give you advice, and you decide whether you want to execute or not, because you already paid me for the advice. You already paid me for the scripts and the workflows and everything. But what would drive me nuts, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this managing, is, some loan officer would walk into my office and be like, hey, so I was thinking about doing this thing. How do you think I should do it? And then you spend half an hour explaining them how to do it, explain to them how to do it, whether it's marketing or putting a file together. And they're like, okay, yeah, thanks. Well, I'm going to go do it this way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, if you were always going to do it your way, either go do it your way. And then if it blows up in your face, I'm your boss. I'll help you save the day or restructure the deal or write a check to get you out of trouble or whatever. But save the half hour of my time. Or accept the fact that, I don't know, maybe I know a thing or two, you should just do it my way. But the absolute worst possible scenario is you ask me for my feedback and then do exactly the opposite. And that would just happen over and over and over again. And it just blew my mind. And so managing salespeople, not my cup of tea. Love coaching them. Don't like managing.
I totally get where you're coming from. I managed loan officers. I had 48 at one point.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You see the gray hair? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got you too.
Yeah, right. Come on, man. So, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed some of the things that we did and some of the things we accomplished. We literally took people from zero to, tens of millions of dollars in closings, and they did really, really well. And they followed the model and all that kind of thing. Right. The thing was, nearly every single place I went, I was the top producer, in some places by 70%. Yeah. And it was, Mike, you got a minute? 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 And here's the thing. When Mike had a minute and Mike gave you a minute, and I'm, talking about myself in the third person, that's really good, huh? Right. Sat down with them, listened to whatever it was going on. And nearly every single time it was this. There's something that they want from me that gives them the shortcut so they don't have to work as hard as I work.
Right.
And do more business. There's something that I obviously know because of the business that I'm doing, other than work my ever loving took us off, right? Like you're talking about distractions and all that kind of stuff, right? I would literally live my life to where I wanted distractions. Right. Like I was dying for distractions because it was the same thing over and over and over. Right. And it's like, and so I got to a point at one point where I moved out of the office. How are you going to manage loan officers and not be in the office? It's very simple. You do it by phone or you meet them somewhere, right? Coffee shop, whatever, but you meet them on the way to your appointment or to the office that you're going to call on, that kind of thing. You put them in your car and you make them ride with you while you're solving whatever the problem is. Okay. Yeah. Put on the move. Right. I got more efficient and I did a lot more with a lot less time, because the whole thing was, we're going to waste your time as much as we possibly can. And then we're not going to do it the way that you suggest that we do it. We're going to do it the way we decide to do it, because we've been losing all along and we're just going to lose some more doing our deal. Right. We're just going to go down the drain. And you're going to get to witness it.
I managed a guy who I love this guy. I have a real soft spot in my heart for him. And we had a very a little bit of like an adversarial relationship where he would walk in and I'll just call him Bill. I'd be like, Bill, you got 5 minutes, or just go blow it up your way and call me when you need some help fixing it. He'd
Right.
be like, okay. All right. Here's what I think we're going to do. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, if we can get this out of the way in 5 minutes, you can have my undivided attention. If not, just go blow it up however you thought you were supposed to do it.
And then we'll fix it. We'll put it back together. Right?
Yeah,
We'll get
yeah,
the Gorilla Glue out and the Scotch tape and we'll put it back together. Yeah.
exactly. But don't come in here and waste an hour of my time only to blow it up anyway. And then I got to spend another hour of my time fixing it. Just blow it up and we'll fix it together.
Right. Let's do it the efficient way.
Right.
Okay. So you go to North America or New American, and then you come back to Movement.
Yeah. I realized I didn't like managing. I don't think anything like nefarious ever happened with the kind of promises from Movement Mortgage, but one of the things about coming back is they're like, hey, we've got this new P&L model. We know you just want to produce, you're not loving management, and by the way, we really want to bring you into the fold to do more corporate coaching. That was all great. Who knows whether it was an accident or lip service or whatever. It really never ended up materializing, and I give them a pass on it because I came over at the end of 2019, right? And then COVID hits and nobody's traveling and nobody's doing anything and nobody feels like they need coaching because, business is just dropping from the trees, from the skies, coming out of the ground. Like, who doesn't want a loan when it's, 2.875? So that just never materialized. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a little crude. I use a lot of foul language. I have a podcast called On the Edge podcast that I do as a passion project. And I'll talk to anybody, interviewed a drag queen, interviewed some gal that's on OnlyFans. And I'll literally talk to anybody. Like, I'm a pretty hardcore libertarian. I'm super judgmental of politics and political parties and political candidates, but I kind of love everybody. I'll talk to anybody. And so it's funny, when I resigned from Movement, I was talking to one of my leaders. And I was like, hey, man, I'm going to go over to Synergy One. Like, most mortgage banks are about the same. I can do similar type of business over there. And they really want to invest in me, like coaching for the company and being their in-house coach. And like, the words were kind of still hanging out there in a cartoon bubble, like over my head. And the manager immediately cut me off and was like, oh, yeah, Scott, I don't think you were ever going to be the guy here at Movement. It's a very like kind of more prim and proper company with very Christian ethos. And, you're the type of guy that'll interview whoever, whatever they said on the podcast. I'm like, wait a minute, boss. I'm like, I know you don't watch the podcast. Right. So that means this conversation's been had before. And I get it. Like, you're not going to, certain people's temperament aren't going to fit every corporate culture. Again, still have a super soft spot in my heart for Movement. I think there's some great people over there, respect the heck out of the leadership, but I don't think I was their guy for the in-house coaching.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. When I found out you were coming over, I was so pumped. I was there and I was so excited that you were coming over to do coaching for the company and the whole deal. Right. I mean, I'm literally sitting there going, these guys are smart. They are really smart. And when they did not take advantage of having you be there as a coach and available to coach us, right, it really bothered me. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just kind of left quietly, right?
Yeah.
And I actually left when you left, but it was one of those things where it really bugged me. I was super pumped that you were coming over, and I was super pumped that you were gonna do all this stuff, because I remember when they made the announcement, and dude, I was really excited. I was really excited. So yeah, it was kind of disappointing, but you ended up landing on your feet just like you always do, right? So you go to Synergy One. What was your favorite thing about Synergy One?
Yeah, I mean, I still work there, and they're a great company, like a smaller mortgage bank, maybe a couple hundred. Oh, that's weird. I'm getting a call from the front desk. Couple hundred loan officers there at Synergy One, and what I've loved about them so far is that they really punch above their weight on product mix and technology. Yeah. And so, I still service at a very high level the Los Angeles market, and just like San Diego, you can be $200,000 condo to $7 million castle within 10 blocks of each other.
Yeah.
And so you got to have that product mix from down payment assistant to super jumbo to
Yeah.
really service the major metropolitan areas. And so yeah, I've just been really impressed with Synergy, their technology, kind of everything working together, and then their product mix. They really bat above their pay grade. And then of course, you know, this is not a secret. They're paying me to be the in-house coach, which I absolutely love.
That's
And
awesome.
you know, it's just a new experience, new opportunity to build the resume to, you know, coach at a corporate structure. And yeah, so far so good. I have no plans to leave. It's a great place to do mortgages, great place to coach, and I'm pretty happy.
Are you working with Tori Larson?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell him I said hi, will you?
We'll do.
I worked with him 24 years ago.
Wow.
24
Yeah.
years ago.
Isn't that the crazy thing about this business? Like you just
Crazy.
kind of run into the same people over and over again, you know?
Crazy. Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy, man. And it was a wild time, absolutely wild time. And it was probably some of the most fun I had in the mortgage business was working with Tori and what we were doing at the time. We had a company called Home Capital Funding, and that was a lot of fun, but that was a long time ago, right? And it was back when we were starting the Keller Williams office, because I literally was working with them when we ended up getting together with Keller Williams and opening that franchise. So that was a cool time. So please tell him I said hi. So I'm a big fan of Synergy One Lending and a big fan of Tori Larson, as I'm sure you can tell. Years ago, I was on radio with Craig Sewing, and we went to Synergy One's offices and down in San Diego in Mission Valley, and Tori was in the conference room, and we're sitting there waiting, you know, right? And I can see him in there doing his thing. And I finally just walked up because the door was clear. I finally walked up to the door and he saw me and he's like, "Get in here." And I go in and give him a hug. And I said, "Hey, here's something I've been wanting to tell you for years." And he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "You're in my conference room. I need you out." Right? So cool guy, really cool guy. So, okay. So we're up to today. Okay. So you're in Austin, Texas for your coaching, right? You just did your coaching event. So let's talk about what you're doing in coaching. Are you writing any more books? You know, what are you up to?
Oh man, so much.
What a shocker.
Yeah. The first thing is I'm staying in Austin, just did my coaching event, the year-end planning retreat for all my people. And I'm staying here for a group called Front Row Dads, which for any dads that are listening to this, Front Row Dads started as a podcast, turned into a mastermind, amazing guy named John Vroman that runs it. And it's, you know, it's fathers with businesses, not business owners trying to be dads. And so it's just a good opportunity to like rekindle that love of like, hey, I'm a dad and a family man first, and then the business supports that, not the other way around.
Right.
So that's just a quarterly or biannual retreat I try to get to every year. That's like it's a great group of guys, and it just really reminds us what's important. So continuing to lean into Front Row Dads. I've got 2 fiction books and 2 nonfiction books that are in some stage of outlining, and just like my last book, I'll get to a certain point, which is how it happened. I got to a certain point and I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm checking into a hotel at Huntington Beach this weekend, and I'm not coming out until the book is written. And I finished the book in about 3.5 days. A lot of caffeine, a lot of cigars, a lot of typing on the balcony. And so, yeah, I've got a couple other books that are probably en route. The fiction ones are kind of in the same vein of like a Shawshank Redemption type thing. And then I've got some nonfiction business books, and then just really leaning into being a dad. You know, I've got a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 21-year-old, all at very different stages in their life. And this is wild. Actually, this is the first podcast that I'm going to talk about this. My wife and I, with another couple, we're opening a school in Nevada. So we moved about 2 years ago from LA full-time up to Henderson. I still keep a place in LA because I'm down there so much for business, and my mother-in-law is one of the most amazing human beings you've ever met. But we're up in Nevada now, and the downside of no state taxes and really low property taxes is the school systems are garbage. But then again, I think most of the public school systems in America are garbage. So my wife and I are just like really leaning into the type of community we want to build. and we're building a school right now called Apogee. It's a partnership with a gentleman named Tim Kennedy out of Texas, which is another reason I'm here. He's a former Green Beret, former UFC fighter, just really passionate about like growing sovereign Americans. And he has a program called Sheepdog Response, or a company that does, preparation and emergency medical and shooting and stuff like that. And so we're partnering with him. Him and his partner, Matt Bedreau, they're opening somewhere between 50 and 100 schools nationwide starting September of 2024. So we're going to be one of those affiliates, along with the Healing family, who's awesome. This family that we connected with at a super high level. So yeah, it's probably going to start small, 20 or 30 kids, but like our like kind of our mission is to grow that into a couple hundred kids outside of Vegas that just, they want to be healthier living, like more sovereign Americans, and just like a less politicized educational environment where we're just like, we're building real learners and real like Socratic thinkers. And so that's kind of our new mission, which again, going back to the college dropout, almost high school dropout, very awkward that I'm starting a school.
Yeah. Cool,
But
man. It's cool. This is legacy stuff, This is a big deal.
Yeah. I'm going to lean on my wife because she used to do after school programming for like nonprofits that plugged into schools. And the other family that we're partnering with, the wife has a master's in education and really worked in like primary grades until she realized that the system is just a complete mess and totally corrupt. And then she got her kids out, and now we're going to try to get a bunch of other kids out. So if anybody wants to donate, look up Apogee Henderson, because we're going to be taking some grant money for kids that are less fortunate than my own that can't afford to go to private school. Because eventually, it's not going to be able to happen in the first couple of years, but eventually we want to get enough grants and donations that every kid that is paying to come, we can get one kid to come on the, basically on the trust fund of the school.
So spell Apogee for me.
Apogee. Apogee. It means like the apex or the height of something.
So is it Apogee Henderson? Is that?
Yeah, it's Apogee Henderson.
.org.com?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't even know that we have the website built yet.
Okay.
On Instagram, we're Apogee Henderson. So that's where all the updates will be.
Well, they can look it up on Instagram. There you go. We just wanted to make sure we gave them somewhere to go in case somebody hears about this and they're motivated to do something. Because there are a lot of people that listen to these podcasts that love people, love education, love kids, the whole thing. I love what you're doing. I think it's awesome. So
there's one opening in San Diego. So I'll have to make the introduction to the guy that's opening in San Diego.
Yeah, let's go. I'd love to help if I can. So in fact, I'd love to interview him. So I'm writing a book starting next month on home ownership.
Love it.
The reason we're doing it is according to Freddie Mac, there are 50 million millennials that are potentially going to buy a home in the next 13 years.
Amazing.
50 million. Okay. A whole bunch of them don't trust real estate because when they were children, the Great Recession hit and they watched the people around them lose their houses.
Yeah. I
would love it if you would let me interview you for that book. Would you be up for that?
Yeah. I'd be totally up for it. If you want me to write the preface, I'd love to do something like that. But
I'd love it, buddy. That'd be awesome. Thank you in advance for that. That would be really, really cool. I'll be back with you to do that. So anything else you'd like to cover before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? Is that the saying? Something like that?
And who's Jack exactly?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. But you got to have some fun in life, right? So even though I try to be super productive and relatively healthy, I still have a bottle of wine and a cigar ready to go because I got a friend coming over to meet me tonight by the fire pit, and we're gonna have a couple drinks and smoke a cigar. And I loved boxing for a decade, and when I started having kids, I was like, maybe getting punched in the head at 40, 45 years old isn't the best plan. So switch to jiu-jitsu. And now I'm just like a total Jocko super fan and trying to catch up to all the jiu-jitsu players at 45, which is real hard to do. My back and my knees don't work the same way they did when I was 25. So
I know that feeling.
Passion and trying to lean into that and have fun and watch movies with the kids, and life is good, man. Like it's been a really hard 18 months in the mortgage business. I think it's going to be another hard year or two, and it's always seasonal, right? There's good times and bad times. It's really hard right now. But life is really good. So I don't have a whole lot to complain about other than my cholesterol.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. I really am. And nobody deserves it more than you do. Nobody does. I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate you, how much I appreciate how you've contributed to our industry. And, what you've given to us, we need to give back, right? And it's a big, big deal. You're a major part of this whole thing, and I cannot thank you enough. So from the bottom of my heart, buddy, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the Mike Litton Experience. Have a great time out there. Solve all the world's problems tonight with the cigar and the wine, okay? So the rest of us can relax. All right?
Will do.
Thank you again, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.